All right, so today we're diving into this really cool experiment. It tackles a massive question that's on everyone's mind right now. What happens when you give an AI a real-world task with some very real-world limits?
Okay, so let's just get right to it. The big question here is, well, it's simple, but it's got huge implications. What if you gave an AI $100, just a single $100 bill, and told it to start a business from nothing? I mean, can it actually do it? The answer tells us a ton about where business is heading.
First up, the money. We're talking just $100. That's it. This isn't some huge pile of venture capital, right? It's just enough to get the lights on, what you might call activation capital. And with a budget that tight, the AI has to be brutally efficient right out of the gate.
And if that wasn't enough, there's a deadline, a hard deadline. The AI has exactly 30 days to make something happen. So you've got a tiny budget and a ticking clock. Yeah, the stakes are definitely set.
So that brings us to what this is all about, the $100 AI challenge. And look, the really interesting part here isn't asking if AI can help a founder. We already know it can. The real question is, can it be the founder? Can it make every single critical decision all by itself?
Okay, so for this whole thing to be a legit test, you've got to have some clear rules of engagement. I mean, the constraints are what make the results so fascinating. So let's break down exactly what the AI could and, more importantly, couldn't do. All right, the ground rules. So aside from that tiny budget and the 30-day clock, human health was basically zero, pretty much just plugging it in. The AI started with no followers, no email list, nothing, and it couldn't go out and do any manual sales calls or outreach. What it did have was access to all the modern stuff, no-code websites, other AI tools, but basically it was on its own. It had to build the whole shebang from the ground up. All right, now for the really interesting part, the AI's business playbook. How does a machine even think about starting a company? Well, it's all about pure cold logic. There's no gut feeling here, no passion projects, just data. So the first big decision the AI has to make is the business model. And this is a perfect example of how it thinks. It looks at e-commerce and says, nope, inventory costs money. It looks at services and says, nope, that needs a person. So where does it land almost every time? Digital products. And why? Well, think about it. No inventory, you can deliver them instantly, the profit margins are huge, and you can automate almost everything. From a purely logical standpoint, it's a no-brainer. And here's the entire plan, step by step. It's so systematic. First, it analyzes the business models. Then, it carves up that tiny budget. Next, it uses data to pinpoint a profitable niche. From there, it actually generates a whole ladder of products. Then it builds the automated website, the sales funnel, the whole works. And finally, it fires up a content engine to start pulling in visitors. It's a complete system from start to finish. Now, let's take a closer look at how it spent that $100. See what's not on this list? Ads. There's no budget for advertising. The AI doesn't pay for traffic. Instead, every penny goes into the foundation, the domain name, the website hosting, and the other AI tools it needs to actually create the products and content. It's building the factory before worrying about customers. And notice, it keeps a huge chunk of cash, almost half, as a buffer, just in case. So, what kinds of businesses does it actually come up with? This is where it gets really smart. The AI is a master at finding niches where people have a really painful problem they need to solve. It scours search data to find what people are desperately typing into Google, things like how to get over my fear of flying or how to optimize my 401k. It's not looking for cool ideas, it's hunting for pure raw buyer intent. And get this. The AI is smart enough not to just create one single product. It builds what's called a product ladder. It's a classic business move, really. You start with a cheap, easy-to-buy product to get someone in the door. Then you offer them a more expensive, more valuable option, and so on. It's all about maximizing how much each customer is worth. And this whole plan is baked in from the very beginning.
Okay, so the 30 days are up. The AI has been running the whole show. The big question is, did it work? What were the actual results?
Well, the results are kind of all over the map, but they follow a pattern. Let's be real. Most of the time, in just 30 days, the business makes $0. A lot of the time, though, it does manage to pull in a little bit of cash, maybe a few $100, which is huge because it proves the concept works. And then every once in a while, if it just happens to hit a gold mine with the right niche and the right content, it can actually pull in over $1,000. And this is the key takeaway right here.
Seeing no money in the first month isn't a sign that the AI failed to build the business. It's just, well, it's reality. Getting found organically on Google or social media just takes time. The engine is perfectly built and ready to go. It's just that nobody has found the road to it yet. And that leads us to probably the single most important lesson from this whole experiment. This reveals a massive shift in what it means to be an entrepreneur today. It points directly to the new, biggest challenge, the new bottleneck.
Yeah, this right here shows the new reality perfectly. On one side, you have everything AI has basically solved for us. Creation, done. It can make products, it can write content, it can automate pretty much anything you can think of. But on the other side is what AI hasn't solved: distribution, getting people to actually see your stuff, getting their attention, earning their trust. That is now the hardest part of the entire game.
And that really puts that $100 into perspective, doesn't it? $100 is enough to get off the ground. It's enough to build the whole system and even prove that the idea has legs. But it is nowhere near enough to actually scale. For real growth, you need to invest in that other side of the equation, getting traffic and building a brand. There's a quote that just sums this up perfectly. The barrier to entry is collapsing, but competition is increasing. I mean, think about it. It has never, ever been easier to start a business because the AI can do all the heavy lifting, but because of that, everyone is doing it, and the competition for people's attention is just absolutely brutal now. So let's end with this question. This whole experiment proves that for almost no money, an AI can build a perfect business engine. The machine is built. The whole creation part is solved. The new challenge, the human challenge, is to find the fuel. The question for entrepreneurs isn't can you build it anymore. The question is, can you get anyone to look at it? That, right there, is the new game.